What's up, y'all? How are you guys? It's your boy, Eben Britton. And this is the Ebb and Flow podcast. It's excellent to be with you guys on this magnificent day we have before us. With humanity, all of the differences create the whole. If you're living the life that someone else is telling you to live, or else you're not doing a good job, your life will be filled with discontent and unfulfillment. If you live from the heart and you find yourself penniless, I guarantee you'll be happier than with $1 billion in the bank and living someone else's life. To me, that's a life worth dying for. Living from the heart. A life lived from the heart space. That's a life worth dying for. Time's running out. That is an excerpt from my brother Gus and I's book, A Life Worth Dying For. If you haven't already had a chance to check it out, it is available for purchase on Amazon.com. I'll have the link for that in the show notes. So, today's episode brought to you by my brothers and sisters over at Bioptimizers. Love these guys so much. They really have the best products, supplements on the market, digestive enzymes, magnesium, cognitive boosters, you name it, they got it, and it's excellent. If you're having difficulty sleeping, so a lot of what I talk about, it's about getting to your optimum functioning level, right? The number one thing for meeting your day in your highest greatness is to get good sleep the night before. Oftentimes, that's not happening. So how do we get the best sleep possible? Well, one thing, one supplement, one mineral that I have found to be excellent at optimizing my sleep routine, my sleep health, is magnesium. And Bioptimizers has one of the best magnesium products, if not the best magnesium product that I've ever tried, Magnesium Breakthrough. They have it, they offer it, and it's incredible. I'll tell you what, sleep problems, they're not always caused by stress, but rather a deficiency of magnesium. 80% of Americans are magnesium deficient. Did you know that? And magnesium is often called the sleep mineral because it has a calming effect and regulates the hormone melatonin, which I'm sure all of you know about, because every time we hear about a sleep aid, it usually involves melatonin because that controls your sleep cycles. But simply getting enough of the right kinds of magnesium daily can have a profoundly positive effect on both the amount and quality of the sleep you get. Magnesium is involved in over 300 processes and chemical reactions inside your body that keep you moving and functioning at your highest level. It's super important to get your magnesium, y'all. And these guys do it right. It's a combination of 7 types of magnesium. It's in a capsule. It's one of the best things, one of the best supplements, my favorite supplement that I've ever taken. Head over to magbreakthrough.com/ebb and flow to get 10% off your next order. You're not going to regret it. I highly recommend it. When you get good sleep, it changes your life, and this stuff helps you get better sleep. So, that's that. We love Bioptimizers. This episode of the Ebb and Flow is titled You Heal You. We live in a really strange time. Well, I suppose every great time to be alive is a strange time to be alive. My brother told me the other day, he was in a coffee shop and he heard this old dude come in and say, "Hey, it's a Chinese curse to be born during an interesting time. Did you know that?" And he looked it up, and lo and behold, it's an ancient Chinese curse to be born during an interesting time. And I would say this is an interesting time, folks. But this episode is really something that I believe deep in my heart. You heal you. Your body is a magnificent vehicle manifested by the divine intelligence that is the universe. And literally every single dis-ease that you come upon, that you confront, that your body makes its way through, your body has the ability to heal itself and to recover. How do we tap into that? Well, we have to learn. We have to bring awareness to the reality of the situation. That's what I hope to do in this episode. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's a solo roll. And hey, I think that's about it, y'all. Before I send you off to enjoy this episode, I'd love to see you guys on Patreon. Join the Power Tribe, man. Connect with me on a personal level. We're doing monthly check-ins, workouts, breathwork, and meditations over Zoom. You've got guided meditations there, breathwork routines, exercise routines. Hear my thoughts. Connect with me through the messenger. And that's about it. Love to see you guys there. Patreon.com/EDS Britain. That'll be in the show notes. Lots of love to you guys. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Enjoy this episode. Peace.
You have unlocked the eternal link to internal source. The key of imagination, your admission. Access to the enlightened dimension. A gateway at the junction of darkness and light. The place at which the chaos of our conditioned frame of mind give way to a life in constant flux, only to be mastered through vigilant discipline. Peaceful times may come, testing times may go. This is the ebb and flow.
Hey everyone. It's excellent to be with you on this magnificent day. It's another solo roll. Some more ebb and flow. Before we get started, let's all take a deep breath together. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let it all go. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the weight of your body in your seat. Check in with yourself. How are you doing? How are you feeling? The truth that emanates from your heart is the only truth that we can rely on at this stage. I'm reading this fantastic book right now called The Secret History of the World by Mark Booth. I highly recommend it. And it goes back through history and ties together all ancient mythology, ancient religious texts. It ties it all together to bring forth the esoteric teachings of the ancient mystery schools, the ancient secret societies, the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Golden Dawn, all of these groups that are so shrouded in mystery. A lot on social media. I see people on social media all the time talking about the evils of the Freemasons, etc. But what they're really talking about is the adulteration of ancient knowledge by whoever, the elites who are educated, steeped in, conditioned with these perverted ideas about their entitlement and their higher standing over the rest of us. And that's not what this is. Ancient esoteric tradition is truly about the universal truths, the the structure that the universe is built on. And as far back as you want to go, we have lived in a mind before matter existence. It's only up until recently, maybe perhaps the last 100 years since the colonization of the world, that we have stepped into this matter before mind ethos, which is really unhelpful, and it doesn't hold up. It just doesn't really hold up when you really get down to the basics. For instance, the ancients, they understood that the inner life, the life of the consciousness, the thoughts, the imagination, was all just as real as the table in front of me, this computer I'm speaking into. And at first, you might think, well, how is that possible? How can my thoughts or my dreams or my visions or my created ideas, the things that swirl through my mind, how can they be as real or more real than the solid things that I see in the world outside, the cars driving down the street? Well, when you think about it, every single thing that we see, cars, machines, buildings, they all started as thought forms. They were thought forms that materialized into the physical dimension through will and conscious action to build it. But it began as a thought form. So right there, it starts to break down. Mind before matter. The universe is mental. This is an ancient Hermetic alchemy principle. 7 principles of the universe. Principle number 1. The universe is mental. The all is mind. Mind is the all. The all, the one. Everything that we see, everything that we are and a part of, all that we function within. So why does that matter? Well, this episode of the podcast, I really want to get down to you heal you. You heal you. You are the guru. I've said it before, your body, your physical body, is the most magnificent creation the universe has ever devised, has ever produced. And I don't say that with some fairy tale or optimistic, illusory understanding. I say that from a very scientifically fundamental point of view. Every cell in your body has a purpose. Your being, you came into this world with a divine purpose. Every cell in your body, skin cells, heart cells, every cell of your digestive organs, your brain, your bones, all the matter that's coagulated to form the vehicle that is you, knows exactly what to do, how to do it, and has the instructions imprinted in it, in your DNA, in your genetic makeup, to do everything, to heal every ailment that you will ever come in contact with, ever come into confrontation with, etc. I had the chance to work with this profound healer. He does neuromuscular release technique. This is something I stumbled into a little bit in my pro football career with it's called MRT, muscular release technique. But this guy took it a step higher into neuromuscular release technique. And it's incredibly painful. It restructures your entire musculature and your nervous system. And he said to me, I can't really describe in words the work. It's a lot of deep tissue work. It's getting into the insertions where the muscles connect to the bone. And with his hands, he doesn't really use any tools. He might have some tools, but that's not really the basis of the work. With hands, getting into the insertions of the muscles at the bone and scraping it back out to I forget the term of the other side of the connection of the muscle, but scraping it out. And in the arms, it feels tremendous. In the legs, it feels tremendous. In the feet. But he worked on my jaw. He worked on my chest. It's excruciating because he's going down deep. And the human body is simply a vessel to carry around all the emotional, psychological, mental experiences that we accrue over the period of our lifetime. And we're here for such a short time. This universe is billions of years old. The earth itself is billions of years old. Humans have been around for, I would say, hundreds of thousands of years. Perhaps longer. Intelligent beings have probably been around for longer than that. I don't have any proof of that. That's simply my feeling. But he said to me, the body is an astrophysicist. There's a computer that runs this thing. A high intelligence that your body has. It is. That it speaks a language that our minds can't possibly understand. Especially when we've been conditioned in the industrial education system that we all have been. Down to every single cell. And it's really just up to us to provide the physical body, the vessel, the muscles, the tissues, the cells of our being with the proper nourishment, call it food, water, but also activity, information, and really get out of the way. We've been highly conditioned that the Western medical system, Western doctors know better than we do. On a base level, this has always been really difficult for me because I have spent my life in this body. So when something comes up that I'm dealing with, pain, injury, illness, disease, dis-ease, the body is out of ease. It's dis-eased. Most likely, I am going to have a better idea of what's going on inside of me when I really contemplate the happening that's going through me than any medical doctor could have an idea about. You hear about it all the time. So-and-so was dealing with this, stomach pains, can't sleep, etc. They went to the doctor, did all sorts of tests. Everything came back normal. Looks like they were fine. They did the x-rays. They did the MRIs. Nothing really looked out of place. And yet the doctor finds a way to make a diagnosis. And then goes on to prescribe X, Y, and Z medications, etc. The medications are a Band-Aid. The medications are a Band-Aid. And unfortunately, the medications, the Band-Aids themselves lead to further imbalances in the body, chemical imbalances, because once you introduce a chemical, that throws off the homeostasis, chemical balance, natural chemical balance that occurs in all of our bodies. Now, those are all being thrown out of whack depending on our diet, our exposure to sunlight, the relationships we have, the air we breathe, all of these things, our lifestyles dictates whether or not we're in homeostasis. So you look at the average American who is ingesting processed food by the handfuls at each and every meal. 1 to 6 meals a day is just processed food, junk, garbage. Food that should not be consumed by a living organism. Combine that with toxic air, bad water, and before you know it, you're living in a chemical stew of disease. It's self-inflicted. So it's up to us, the individuals who come into awareness and understanding. And I say this with a lot of grace because it takes a lot of learning. I've only come into this through a lifetime of pain. Playing in the National Football League, coming from a middle-class family. My parents had a very solid foundation of understanding around the importance of good nutrition, highly nutritious foods, and clean water. But beyond that, I mean, we still had the Taco Bell. We still had the McDonald's. Christ, I mean, when I was a kid, I was eating 3 Big Macs at a time. So I know and I understand. Finding myself feeling like complete shit. And most people today are walking around probably, I would venture to guess, feeling like shit. So beyond anything, really, my goal, my message with everything I do is to be the light. Be the light. Show the way. Show that this is possible. Show you what is possible. Open the door for you. Reflect to you what you may be already feeling. Wow, this other person, they feel the same thing I've been feeling. That's why it's so important that we share. That's why community is so important, especially at this stage. Early man and woman, early humans. We became the most successful creatures on this planet because of our ability to work together, to hunt, to gather, to forage, to share responsibilities. And so we became highly successful. Now, in this stage, where we've got all our food taken care of, we've got running water, most of us, if we're blessed enough to live in a, civilized, I don't know if civilized is quite the right word. If we're blessed enough to live in a place with infrastructure that provides things like running water, that's a blessing, man. Fuck, that's a blessing. So, with all of these things provided for now, it's imperative that we share. We've reached this stage in our evolution of consciousness as beings where it's vital for us to share our inner life and what's happening inside of us emotionally, physically, psychologically, mentally, spiritually, so that we can continue to grow and evolve and transcend our circumstances. So here I am, simply sharing my truth of what I've experienced. So something that occurred to me, you heal you. You heal you. You heal you. You heal yourself. I highly recommend it if you haven't already listened to it or come across it. But Dr. Joe Dispenza, there's a fantastic documentary. I'm not even sure it's still there on Netflix called Heal, and it came out before COVID. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's been taken down, frankly. But it's all about the miraculous healing capacity of the human body. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is a beacon of this teaching and this understanding, yes, he is very much a meditation master, a neuroscience wizard. But that all started because he had a life-changing bicycle accident, broke his spine in a bike accident. And he decided not to have surgery. Every doctor said, dude, you have to have surgery. It's going to be fusions. It's going to be this. You'd be lucky if you ever walk again. He said, fuck that. And he literally meditated and visualized his spine healing and healed himself. That's the short version. This is true. And this is not happening in a vacuum. I mean, I'm a testament to it. I've had multiple surgeries. I've experienced a lot of physical trauma, concussions, brain damage, all of it. And I've healed myself through natural practices. My book, The Ebb and Flow, Basic Tools to Transform Your Life, which will be out shortly, details much of my journey with that and the tools that I've used to heal myself. But that's really what I want to say to you in this episode of the pod. You have all the power inside of you. You've always had the power. It's simply about providing the vehicle with the things it needs to do what it's built to do. When you put gas in your car, you put gasoline in it. You don't fill the gas tank with water. You don't fill the gas tank with sewage. The car runs on gasoline. That's how it runs. And depending on what car you have, speaks to what level or what octane level of gasoline you put in the car to make it run most efficiently. So our bodies are very much the same. I mean, that's a very rudimentary analogy, but you get the point. So for me, it comes down to meditation. It comes down to the right food, drinking clean water, drinking plenty of water. Water is key. Getting sunlight, getting out into nature, having fulfilling relationships that fill you up, living in your purpose, filling your mind with the proper information. Excuse me. We live in this world. It's a maze of illusions. Every time you turn on the TV, there's someone telling you about the next miracle pill, the next miracle injection that you have to get. You have to get it. Otherwise, you can't survive. How are you going to live? It's all false. It's all illusions. So, you heal you. When I came into the cannabis space, obviously cannabis is this highly stigmatized, demonized plant that grows from the earth, which that's, we've spoken at length about that. So I stepped into this world where all of the illusions began to crumble. because I'm seeing all the people who this plant has had a positive effect on. And this plant has been federally illegal since 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, which made the growth, sale, and consumption of cannabis completely illegal. So, during my time in that, I realized, because the argument for me was, look, here's this medicine. As a professional football player, I'm coming out of this world where guys are prescribed tons of pills, prescription anti-inflammatories that wreak havoc on your digestive system, all the opiates that you could ever imagine. The number one publicity nightmare for the NFL is that guys have concussions. Severe concussions, are suffering from this thing called CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is basically early onset dementia, Alzheimer's. And it's triggered by all of these constant concussive hits. And I mean, literally, they've done the studies, 110 out of 111 bodies, brains cut open, skulls cut open, and examined the brains. 110 out of 111 players that were examined had CTE. So that's like a 99.8% likelihood that a professional football player, a football player of any age, actually, because we're seeing it with the kids who are in Pop Warner, kids who finished, whose last football was played in high school and college and the NFL. We're seeing it at all ages. And yet here's this plant that the federal government also has a patent on as neuroprotectants and antioxidants. Patent 6,630,507. You can look it up. I've talked about it a lot. But they have this patent, cannabinoids as neuroprotectants and antioxidants, which means that they've seen through scientific studies that the chemical compounds found in the cannabis plant help the brain heal and can help protect the brain from future damage. So here I am, coming out of this world. Pills are a problem, concussions are a problem. Cannabis can be a solution to both of these things. I'm telling my story. I'm sharing my experience of how cannabis benefited me during my 6-year career in the NFL, my 15 years in football, how I feel I came out of my career in better shape because of my cannabis use than had I not used it. And the detractors, the people on the other side, are going, Eb, well, it's all anecdotal. Well, first of all, we've got a federal patent on cannabinoids as neuroprotectants. Nobody cared. Nobody cares. Why, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm speaking 5 years now after the fact, where cannabis is almost legal everywhere. And we're making serious moves across the board to decriminalize it and destigmatize it. But it's still federally illegal. Right? So here we are. I'm talking about this plant that has all of this anecdotal evidence of how it works and how it heals people and how it's changed people's lives for the better. And no one really wants to hear it. Everyone's going, oh, well, we need to do more research. Well, for me, it all comes down, the truth of the matter comes down to the experience. There are 1,000+ doctors out there that will tell you how beneficial it is to take antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds or opiates. And these are people from the medical establishment. And they'll say, well, there's plenty of research that says it works and it does this and this and this and this. I've taken all those pills, and frankly, they put me into a worse state than when they found me. I'll take anecdotal evidence, a person's real-time experience, firsthand experience, over some academic study any day of the week. because the truth of the matter comes down to the experience. Okay, so you take Xanax because you have anxiety. First of all, nothing wrong with that. I've done it myself. The problem is you're putting a Band-Aid on a very deep issue. Why do you have anxiety? Right now, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, I just want you to stop. Stop. Take a breath. How do you feel? How do you feel? And then think about all the things you've done over the last 24 hours. The foods you've eaten, the conversations you've had, perhaps the medications you're taking, whatever. And just take note and tie all of that to the exact feeling you're feeling right now. That is the truth of your experience. So for me, tying it back to my own truth and my own experience, here I am. I'm looking at all the external information going, cannabis is illegal, cannabis is a back alley drug, cannabis is this dark, seedy thing that criminals use and profit off of, and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going, man, you know, when I smoke weed, I feel better. All the pain in my body that I've been experiencing through football, all the pain dissipates. And if it doesn't completely dissipate, at least I'm able to extract myself from the experience of suffering, of being in pain. Remember the ancient Buddhist teaching. Pain is inevitable, suffering is not. We have control over our suffering. Pain is a natural mechanism of this life experience. How much we suffer is up to us. So here I am. I'm looking at all of this external information, all of the, you know, what the culture is telling me how bad cannabis is for me, yet my experience is telling me something completely contrary, completely different. So what am I supposed to do? Trust the external world and say, oh man, even though I smoke weed and it makes me feel good, yeah, I shouldn't do this because they say it's bad. No. You have to trust your instincts. You have to trust your own experience. That's all we have. With anything. I'm using cannabis as an example because that was very close to me through my experience of dealing with a lot of pain and injuries. Where I had the pills, I was taking the pills too, and I take the pills and I go, man, this shit's from the doctor, and it makes me feel like shit. It makes me feel crazy, enraged, hysterical. I can't sleep. I'm waking up in the middle of the night craving more pills because my body, I've got cold sweats and withdrawal symptoms. That shit's from the doctor. And yet it makes me feel like this. Huh. So what does that mean? So now you might say, Ed, well, you're saying you heal you, but you're talking about cannabis and the benefits of cannabis. You're talking about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis, and how does that incorporate or connect to you heal you? Well, natural medicines, things that come from the earth, they were provided for us by the universe, by spirit, by God. Give me 10 minutes, guys. 10 minutes? Excuse me. Rory, can you cut that? So medicines, plants, herbs, remedies, herbal remedies that come from the earth, they help our bodies maintain homeostasis. And my cannabis use has dramatically shifted over the years from my playing days when I leaned on it heavily during my playing career to now when I use it very sparingly, sometimes at night, occasionally. But these medicines, cannabis in particular, are very useful during a traumatic time period. So a time period where we're dealing with a lot of pain, a lot of injuries, a lot of physical, emotional, mental trauma, we can go to these natural remedies that will not throw off the natural balance, because the cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant, our bodies produce these same cannabinoids. They're called endocannabinoids, endogenous cannabinoids that our bodies produce. So it's much different. And the truth is in the experience, once again. So in a highly traumatized state, I was providing my body with natural support, with support to do what it naturally does. When you take the pharmaceutical synthetic shit, that literally shunts your body's reaction, your body's ability to heal itself. It stops it cold. It shuts your body down. When you take an opiate, if you've ever taken any opiates, Vicodin, Percocet, etc., and that cloudiness that you feel mentally, all of your cells are feeling that too. They're all going like, whoa, bro, what's going on here? So not only is your brain feeling that fog, but every cell in your body is feeling that fog. It's like it's stoned. Now, being high on a plant medicine is a much different experience, because your body that's all the natural chemicals that occur within already. So you're just supporting that system. Now, I understand. It's occurred to me that a lot of my talk and my advocation, my activism around cannabis and other plant medicines, it can be very misconstrued by a young ear or by a undisciplined mind. And what I mean by that is my message can be taken as, oh, it's cool to just smoke weed all the time. Now, the spiritual truth is, sure, yeah, go ahead, do what you got to do. I'd much rather have you smoking a bunch of weed than, drinking a bunch of alcohol or popping a bunch of pills. Yes. But it has to work for you. Remember, you have a purpose. You are a divine creation. You were brought here to do work on the part of God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. You were brought here to do work. Now, if the things you're ingesting are inhibiting you from expressing your truth or doing your work, you need to take a look at it. Or, at some point, it's going to look at you. And you're going to have to come to terms with it. And that's okay. That's all part of the process. We're all walking the path at our own pace, in our own time. Also, I suppose it is worth saying, if you are on any medications, do not take this episode, do not take these words as the green light to just stop cold turkey. Do not do that. I am not a medical professional. I suppose that needs to be said. My lawyer wife would ask me to say something like that, to give a caveat to everything I say. I'm not a medical professional. I am speaking from experience alone. I do not advise you to stop any medications cold turkey. I'm simply offering you the light of awareness. So if you are taking the medications, how do you feel? Do you feel good? That's really all that matters. That's all I care about. Okay, sure, you're taking the pills. Great. Do you feel good? Are you living in your purpose? Are you happy? Are you in joy, or do you feel fulfilled and content, like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing? Good. That's all that matters. So you heal you. I will take 1,000 years of anecdotal evidence over 2 academic research studies any day of the week. You know, right now it's hilarious. I'm involved with a medicinal mushroom company, Wake, as you guys know. I highly recommend their products, by the way. I'm on their board of advisors. That's just a note for the listener, as just so you know. But there's all of this, oh, the FDA is approving these studies, and Johns Hopkins is doing breakthrough psilocybin research to treat everything from depression to PTSD, etc., and MDMA and LSD and all this stuff. It's great, but we need to stop relying on these institutions who fail us over and over again, who have never done anything for the well-being of us, human beings. I saw a great post the other day by a woman, the Food Babe, who I highly respect, who I got turned on to during my football career, by my wife, actually. And she does deep dives on all the big food corporations and how basically in America we're just being experimented on with all of these chemicals and food dyes and colorings and artificial sweeteners and you name it. And she had a really profound tweet that she posted, and it said, FDA approved does not mean what you think it means. Unfortunately, we've been jettisoned through the vehicle of capitalism, I suppose, although I don't have any gripes with capitalism. I believe in a free market and a free society, and I think capitalism is the only way to get that. The manipulation, adulteration, perversion of capitalistic hierarchies, etc., has really just corrupted the system. It's not capitalism at its core, because capitalism allows me the opportunity to do this podcast and build my own career and for you to do what you dream of doing. So it has nothing to do with that. But when we've allowed corporations to take control of the governing institutions that hold up the structure of our society, we're really running into problems. Because now FDA approval has nothing to do with the efficacy or safety of a product or thing. Really, FDA approval has everything to do with how much money has been pumped into the institution for the sake of getting this so-called FDA approval. I know you might say, Ed, there's no proof of that. There's plenty of proof of that. It's just the reality. When you look at what's FDA approved and what's not, you have to begin to wonder. I'll let you do your own research on that. So once again, it's why, as individuals, we have to take accountability for our health first and foremost. Good God. No one out there, no institution, no doctor, the medical establishment itself does not care or is not concerned with your health and well-being. It's a profit-driven institution. So we, as individuals, must take accountability for our health and well-being. We're the only ones we have. There's a lot of great people out there. You can get a lot of great information about how to take good care of yourself, what foods to eat, all of that. I'm not really here to do that. I'm not really interested in that. So I think I've spoken enough. You heal you. You have the power. Where does this begin? Where does this begin? It begins with becoming aware and mindful of how you are feeling. Breath to breath, moment to moment. Okay? So I want you to take a deep breath in right now, deep in the nose. And let it all out. Once again, do it again. Take another one. Deep breath in. And let it all out. One more time. And let it all out. Now, right now, I just want you to take note of how you're feeling. How do you feel? What's moving through you? What's going on in your body? What foods have you been eating? What drinks have you been drinking? What things have you been taking? Medications, information, all of it. What have you been taking? How do you feel? Do you feel good? Ask yourself, do I feel well? Do I feel inspired? Do I feel strong? This is all that matters. Truth is in the experience. Truth is in the experience. That's what I'd like to leave you with. All right, y'all. Well, hey, for more great information, for more cool content, I'd love to see you join the Power Tribe with me on patreon.com/EDS Britain. Love to see you there. For medicinal mushrooms, I live by them. They're fantastic. Lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, turkey tail. Head over to wake.net. All of that will be in the show notes. Lots of love. Shout out to our sponsor, our friends over at Bioptimizers for their support of this podcast. You can also check out their great product through this podcast, Magnesium Breakthrough. Once again, I love you guys. Have an excellent rest of your day. And remember, you heal you. You have all the power you need. You have all the power you have ever needed. Everything rests within you. Love y'all. Peace.